We are glad you made it. We are going to talk today about your book. Even more importantly, we will talk about your book becoming a reality faster than you previously thought possible. In 30 days, in 24 hours, even 5 minutes from now, you could technically create a book of your very own right here on the call right now as we're talking in just a few minutes with just a few clicks. This is a skill that you can apply for yourself to create something quick and easy, a starting point, a book that you can incrementally add to, maybe from 10 minutes a week, maybe from 30 minutes a month. This is a skill that you could go and venture out and land some clients and create books for them. Maybe as something as extreme as being a ghostwriter, or let's say someone out there has speeches, has videos, has blog posts, has social media posts, has YouTube videos. What if you were the person to copy and paste all that together and click just the right buttons and create a book that sells on Amazon, that sells in physical form? These are the things that we will talk about today. And we're going to do our best to have a lot of fun, cover all the stuff. You can find us in the question and answer, the Q&A box, if you want to say hi, if you want to ask a question. But I think the focus today is going to be not only on getting this thing done, getting your book done. Everyone needs a book. You need a book. Get it done, but also have fun doing it. That way it is not a slog. That way it's something that you can look back and say, I'm glad I did that. And something that you do quickly where you can see results quickly, and then your book will never be complete, but you have something that you can hold in your hands. If you want to add another chapter or two, or you think of something that you want to add in a little half a page, or you want to take something out, it can be something that you refine over time, but you got it done quickly before you got bored, before you got distracted, before something else got in the way, and before this became something that always followed you around. Because doesn't it really suck when you keep putting something off, and next thing you know, even thinking about taking out the garbage or cleaning out the garage or cleaning the car, you get all these nasty feelings just thinking about it. You get triggered by it a little bit. We do not want you to be triggered by your book. We want your book to be fun. But in order to get there, let me ask you a question. What would it take? What would it take for you to get your book published so that people knew all about you? Because getting your book out there in physical form is the first step, right? It's not the finish line. Now that you have this thing, it's time for you to send out copies, to sell copies, to get your friends to promote it for you. A lot of people think that they will work and work and work and work. Okay, cool, the book's done. No, that's like the first step. What would it take for you to get your book published so that way someone knew all about you? Well, let's say that some wealthy billionaire, let's say Bill Gates, Elon Musk, whoever your rich person of choice came and knocked on your door and they said, hey, such and such name, I want you to put out a book, and you can put anything in it that you want. It can be as short as long as you decide it can be, but it should probably talk about you and your business. So let's say you're an expert at social media marketing, but maybe you should put something in your book about that. If you're a life coach, maybe you can put something about mental wellness. If you're a weight loss health coach, personal trainer, but whatever, this wealthy benefactor comes to you and they say, I have a check in my hand for $100,000. And what if I just paid you this up front? And you don't need to produce the book right away, but what if I paid you this check for $100,000 and you swore on everything and anything that your book eventually would be done? And maybe it'll take you a few weeks, but eventually your book will be done, and I'll pay you $100,000 up front. Now, wouldn't you find a way to figure it out, right? Would you let yourself get held back about what color should my cover be, or how do I add text on the spine, or what's an ISBN number, or how do I add a barcode? Do you think you would let any of those silly, tiny, tiny bumps in the road stand between you and $100,000? Well, of course not. But think about this also. What if that amount was a little bit less? What if someone offered to pay you $20,000? Well, guess what? If you make a book for someone else, the low ends for you to write someone's memoirs or someone's business book for them is $20,000. And think if that took you a few hours a day for a few months, wouldn't that be worth it? And I guarantee that a lot of people on this call might even go for the low price of $1,000. If someone said, I'll pay you $1,000 and you create your book and you can still sell as many copies as you want and make extra money, but I'll just pay you $1,000 to get it done, you would probably figure out a way to make it happen. And this opens up a little bit of an aha here, because the problem is the lack of confidence about yourself, right? Sometimes we have problems in disguise. Sometimes we tell ourselves these lies, and we've told ourselves the same lies over and over that we begin to believe it. We think that, oh, well, the reason I don't have a book yet is because I just don't have the time. You can always make time. And aren't we in a time right now when there's the most amount of free time that you've had up to this point? Some people say, well, there's this technical issue, or I need to think about it more. No, the problem is lack of confidence. You're thinking in your head of all the things that will go wrong, all the bad things that might happen with your book. There might be typos. Maybe nobody will buy it. Maybe I'll put all this money into advertising and nobody will want it. Maybe people will laugh at me and snicker behind my back. These are all these bad thoughts that you've been telling yourself up to this point. It's all this lack of confidence about yourself and your book. And the answer that we'll be getting to today is for you to have these small wins to progressively create a better and better book. And how about this? What if you had a book and you had a front cover and maybe you had your photo on the back there, and instead of having some text on the inside, what if it was just a blank book? Well, you would be quite a bit of the way there as far as your book, right? Because now all you have to worry about are some of the words, some of the pages on the inside. You already have a cover, you have a title, you have a prompt for videos. That's progress. And that's further progress than a lot of people out there have made. And that might be more progress than you've made up to this point. And this is the book that I'm holding in my hand, this WWHW book. And then also pictured is one of our friends, David Calafiore, who read this book and loved it. And then him and his business partner whipped out their book in just a few days, and they didn't overthink it. And if you look at how, I mean, these are some fairly thin books, right? They're not big, giant paperbacks. And even David's book, you can kind of tell on the edge, like it's not a big, huge honking book. And they don't have to be, and they shouldn't be. And what David did and what I did and what you should do is we put in the book basically little recipes and things that we could do for people, right? This book is about how to create a book, podcast, or a course in a few steps. And then each chapter is a step along the way to creating a book or a podcast or a course. This guy, David, he has his local media assets book, and every chapter along the way is how to create an online presence, how to approach local businesses, how to offer them things for sale. It's a quick 30-day plan instead of trying to cram everything and anything that he knows into a book. And that should be your strategy too. And we showed these couple of books, but there's something that I don't like about both of the books pictured. And I have a quick quiz for you here. What do you think I forgot about the book cover pictured? And this is the thing that I would say half of books have and half of the books don't have. You can go to that question and answer box and answer. And if you need a little bit of a hint, I didn't realize this until the other day when I found an old book from about 5 or 10 years ago. And I looked at both of these and I realized, these are both have like large prints. Luckily, my name's on both. They're both this pleasing dark blue color. But what's the difference between these two books pictured? Well, if you're in the question box there, you can say that there are other people saying that one has author photos, one has my photo, and the other doesn't. And I can't believe that this was staring me in the face, but I just kept all these different people's books that I see on Amazon, I see on Facebook ads, all these books that are crossing my radar. They'll have a title and they'll have a picture, and maybe they'll be like, at least I didn't completely screw up. I still had my photo on the back, but most people are expressing their shyness and their timidness and their hesitation because they don't have their picture on the cover of the book. And I got a little mad, actually, because I I was tabulating the total sales of this book, and I've sold 7,500 copies in the past year. I kicked myself a little bit because I have been appearing on podcasts, but I need to make that more of a priority so I can really load up the truck. But still, on a good month, on a month when I recycle the profits from the sales of this book back into doing things like sending out a bunch of letters to existing customers to get them to buy the book. When I market some Kindle free days, they're called, to sell more copies of the book. When I post around on social media, post key quotes from the book, those months that I market the book aggressively, I sell about 1,000 copies. And then on books when, or on months when I don't really make it a priority, when there's other things going on, I still sell around 200 or 300 copies of the book just on autopilot, just from me doing nothing. Now that blockbuster, blowing the doors off, bestseller, millions of copies numbers? No, but it's consistent sales. And a lot of people, even the ones that make big sales on their books, they leave out that it's really flash in the pan selling. They leave out that there's sometimes $100,000 or $200,000 spent just to get a quick Amazon ranking, and then that's it. What we're talking about today is something sustainable for you, something easy and doable for you, something that will not cost a couple of $100,000, something that will not take months or years, something that you can begin today, and ideally it's something that you can use on to keep your business going. And so what we said about this quick quiz is, what I forgot was to put a photo of myself on the cover. And nowadays, you know how nowadays things are super easy? You know how there's an app for everything? Well, what I can do is I can go to my own social media page, right? I can go to my own Facebook. I can go and click on my own name. I can click on photos, and I think, well, do I want to have like a recent photo or something with me and my son? This one in the blue shirt is already on the back cover. I can grab this photo of myself. I can right click and save this to my desktop. And I can go to this fancy schmancy free point and click graphics editor that we show you inside our course called bookformula.com, where you can click around and you can click a button and you can get a picture of a light bulb added to it. You can click and get text added to it. And we can just go and upload an image from my computer, and I will grab this photo of myself. We see that it's uploading. And this is without Photoshop. It's just with a free online tool. I can click there, and then if I say I want to crop down this photo of me, we can do that. If I say I want to put myself in a little bit of a circle there, then we can add this frame thingy, and then we can just drag we can drag the right thing, just drag myself into that. We might say I want to put this into a white circle, and then instead of that light bulb there, then now I'm positioned, and we can play around and drag around and say, I want to make myself in the center of the light bulb. I kind of like that idea. We'll see how that looks. And then we can just click on this download button. We can download it, upload the new iteration, the new version of this book cover. And then anyone that buys the cover via Amazon at the moment, someone was asking in the question box, right now this is selling on Amazon. Now going forward in the future, this cover that you see on the screen will be the new book cover. And I didn't even have to go to the trouble of holding a light bulb and snapping a new picture. I just grabbed something from social media, click on download, and then upload it to the new, go to Amazon, and now that is the new version of it going forward. And you'll find once you have a book out there that there are all kinds of nooks and crannies that are easy to forget about. Things like having your picture on the book cover, things like doing a little bit of promoting it every week, little things like after someone buys your book and you go on Amazon And we'll pull up this Amazon page for a second. There's little things like in our book formula course, need to spell that right. That would help. We show you how to register a .com domain name for your book. That way you can say, oh yeah, it's www.book.com. Right now we have 63 ratings of this book. And then when people say cool things about our book, then we can take their review, figure out who they are, and then put their name at the front of our book and say, well, here's what people are saying about this book. So that way, when someone is curious about our book and they start reading the book, they're like, all right, I'll give it a couple of pages and this better be good. But then if they see the positive reviews of your book as they're diving into it, it encourages them to read just a few more pages, right? And then your first couple of pages start with something interesting or hooks them with a story or hooks them with an urgent problem. And then they're encouraged to read a couple of more pages. And so few people think in these terms. And I went for so many years without thinking in these terms. I thought a book had to impress everyone and be jam-packed with so many thick pages. And instead, there are things to think about, such as, okay, a real person has a real problem with their mindset or their weight loss, or they want to buy and rent out homes, or they have some kind of problem. They have begun reading your book, but they're not sure if they will finish. How many people even finish a book they start? Probably not most people. But if you add in some excitement, if you kind of align with their pain, if you give them reasons to keep reading, if you deliver little nuggets of value right up front, these are all things that you can put in your book to make it a lot of fun for you and for the person reading it. And a book does not have to be what you think it is. So this, Mr. Chuck Hooper's on the call, and he knows who this guy is, right? This is Larry Dodd. And Larry was one of a group of people that paid me to be in a book together, where everyone paid money, everyone submitted a chapter, and then we used all that money for the editing, for the printing, for the marketing of the book. And a lot of people do this. A lot of people pool their resources and they align themselves with all these other famous people or semi-famous people or people famous in their industry, and they only have to write one chapter, and now they're in multiple books. And in our book formula course, we show you how you can be the host. You can be the person that creates a book like this. And if you look closely, and so I grabbed this, I just happened to be watching a video from this guy, and in his background, he proudly, next to football photos and college degrees and things, he proudly had the book that I edited and I put him in this book. He had this on display right behind him. And what's really cool is it stands out, right? Everything else behind him is black and white and blue, but this bright orange book is the thing that stands out. And if you look closely, it has his photo. So we made sure to get that right. Has his photo and his name on the cover. And this book is called Level Up. But then this guy, Drew Griffin, he's also on his own cover, but it has his name and his photo. So when you have the magic of print on demand, and the magic of print on demand, not always on Amazon. Sometimes people think that the only game in town is Amazon, and Amazon is a place where you should sell your book because Amazon will send you a ton of traffic. Amazon will pay you money even if you give away your book for free. Amazon has all these extra goodies, but there's a whole world for yourself outside of Amazon where you can take the exact same book and you can put a different title or a different photo or someone else's photo on it and then print a different copy. Off of Amazon and print on demand, you can have a book with blank pages. So that way you can, you could give people your blank book and have little lines for people to take notes. And that's a start to your book. You could get your book and you can prop it up on your desk and you can put it next to your computer monitor and you can use that as a motivational tool for yourself to keep going. You can film YouTube videos and you can hold your book with blank pages inside. Now, Amazon will not let you publish a book with all blank pages, but some of these other print-on-demand places will allow you to do that. And the whole point of this book, we could go into all kinds of possibilities, but the point is that you stand out from the crowd by clicking a few buttons, showing these prospects that you have, showing these future customers, showing these future clients that you know what you're talking about because you put it into words, because you went to the trouble of putting it into book form. And you stand out because most people don't have a book. Most people dream of having a book. Most people feel that resentment when they see that you have a book, but they don't. But you need to have a book if you don't already. And if you already have a book, maybe it needs updating. Maybe you need a new book. But the whole idea here is that you give away a few secrets in your book, right? You tell some interesting stories. You have a few wow moments and things like that. But then someone hires you thinking this author is the expert. And maybe you've dealt with this issue before, but sometimes you need money, right? Or sometimes you want to increase your monthly income and you're like, well, I need someone to pay me money because I have these skills, right? And let's say, even to make it a simple example, let's say you're an accountant. And let's say you're a retired accountant and you want to make some extra money, or you want to make some money on the side, maybe you were laid off, whatever. Even if we're like career-minded people, even someone who's not even a real much of a business owner, right? Even someone who just works a 9 to 5, say you have accounting training and you're looking to land a few quick jobs or a few monthly jobs. Imagine if you put the basics, imagine if you put some of the things you knew into book form. And how many books are out there on accounting? I'm sure tons. I'm sure they're being published every day, but no one is exactly the same as you. You put the things you know about accounting into your quick accounting book, and then now this is a new avenue for people to discover you, and they automatically think that you're the expert, whether or not they finish your book, and most people won't, right? That's just the sad reality is most people won't finish your book. So many times I connect with someone and I say, oh, you've read The E-Myth also. You've read Think and Grow Rich also. What do you think about this and this? And they have no idea what I'm talking about. I'll mention something from the first chapter of The E-Myth about the chubby person and the thin person and this whole concept, and they will have no idea what I'm talking about, even though they said they read The E-Myth, because most people say they read books and they don't. And even in the question box already, there is a couple of smartasses talking about Dan Brown and fiction and nonfiction. I knew this was coming, right? I knew what you were thinking. What about fiction books? You're talking about books. You're talking about this, how to make a course. You're talking about productivity. What about fiction books? I want to be the next James Patterson, Danielle Steele. Well, the good news is that people like James Patterson have these online courses where you can learn directly from them. But it all comes down to, there's a book called 22 Master Plots where they say every book you've ever read, every children's fable, every Hollywood movie, every stage play comes down to these 22 master plots. And this fiction is the long and the hard way, right? If you want to make money from fiction, the idea is to go and figure out what people want, figure out what's selling right now. And it's a little bit of a bait and switch. It kills your dreams, because here you were thinking, I'm going to be the next James Joyce, right? I'll sit down in my quill pen and I'll just pen some really amazing, innovative ideas. I'll create some space adventures. Well, here's the thing. That's the recipe for you putting in a lot of time, a lot of work just for fun. It's not a business. The way to make money from fiction is to be more scientific about it and see what's the hot seller, right? Are the vampire novels selling well? The zombie novel selling well? You basically have to be reading all the time. And then the idea is you read so much, you read so often, you read a book a day, that all the good ideas bubble up to the surface and you figure out how to make a better vampire novel. This is the long and the hard way to create the next zombie adventure, vampire romance, and just keep cranking these out like you're R.L. Stine or something. And what you would do is, if your dream is to write fiction books, you read fiction books all the time and you figure out the characters that you like and the plots and the tropes you like. And you might say, well, I like this plot line, but I don't like how the zombie survivors fought the zombies this way, so my plot will go differently. And if you think that this is bogus, well, think about how much of a hit the 50 Shades of Grey books were. Well, those books started as Twilight fan fiction, right? I think I saw the first Twilight movie, but I promise I haven't seen the others. And this lady wrote her own adventures with the Twilight vampire kids, and Then she put it online and it was a huge hit, but she said, well, I can't put this out as Twilight fiction because there's copyright infringement. And she went and searched and replaced. I can't remember what there's like team Jacob and team Edward. She searched and replaced the Jacobs and the Edwards and made her own characters for her hit book. And it's a little bit of a reality check, right? Because you think, oh, I thought that I was so creative when I make these imaginary worlds. No, it's kind of all the same. They kind of follow a template. And authors like Stephen King, their secrets are that they work at it, they chip away at it every day. Stephen King writes 2,000 words daily, which is about 100 sentences or so. And that's how he comes up with these huge, thick books, because he just does it every day. He does not miss a day. And I don't know about you, but that's quite a commitment. But the thing to take away from this, the way that this can still be usable for you, is that it all just comes down to, what do people want? What is a hot seller? And how can you apply your own unique take, your own twist on things, so that way you can edge yourself into the marketplace? But it comes down to the structure of what people want. And we want to talk to you about how to tap into the structure. And, well, secret is, the structure is this thing called why, what, how to, what if. And we go into that in our course called Book Formula. Now, in our Book Formula course, let me just switch gears, and we'll switch gears back, is we walk you through the steps to getting your book out there. And the first step is to create to go through ideas and to figure out your cover and to figure out your mock-up. And we have this video training, but we also have some helpful tools for you. We have this idea checklist where you can go in and list some ideas, and we have you apply this score, this ranking, and you go through these different steps, and you basically draw out from yourself, by asking yourself these questions, how you can come up with something that is proven to sell, that follows a structure, a template. That way you can get it done quickly, but it's also somewhat unique to you. We show you what to click, what to do to get the cover figured out. And then from that, we move on to the inside, but we create the cover first, and then we move on to some more interesting areas like outlining your book. And as far as outlining your book, we have you fill in these questions about, well, the why part of your most important book chapter, the what part of your most important book chapter. And there are these proven steps where if you miss steps, if you skip steps, if you do things out of order, you're going to have a book that is kind of weird. But if you go through the proven system, then you can apply your own creativity, you can express your own skills, you can create something that's fun and quick for you, and is also fun and quick for people reading it, and they get some results, and it can be something that is just part of your business now. It's not something that you have to spend years on and spend a bunch of money on. The master plan is to create your own mock-up book with just the cover, add in just one chapter, because books these days can be super short and you can always add to it. We have you begin marketing it, then add to it more as you get more ideas, and go and edit it. Maybe say, well, I want to bold something, or I want to add some bullet points. Or sometimes in books, I like to say, we just explain some stuff, and now I'm going to give you number one, number two. Sometimes I like to just add some bullet points or some lists, recapping the things that we already talked about. We want you to sell lots of copies and then use this as the funnel and the entry point for your business. But just to defuse and maybe laugh a little bit at people asking about fiction, is every movie and every successful book is the same, right? There's this thing called the hero's journey. There's the 3-act structure. And we'll move on from this in a second. So be quick if you want to look at this. But the Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, they followed a proven structure, right? There's the adventure with the battle droids, and the ship crashed on the water planet with the Gungans. And then there was the pod race and Darth Maul and vetting the ship and adding all this suspense and the final battle of Naboo. And if you know about this 3-act structure, Star Wars, Jaws, The Matrix, every Disney movie, every Marvel movie, they all follow this structure. Even though they're amazing and they have their own things that make them stand out and they're super creative, they still follow the proven structure despite being super creative. Now, what is practical is nonfiction, where you make a case, an argument for why businesses need the service you provide. And if you want to be cheesy, you could look at it as the plot of your nonfiction book. The plot is that someone starts and they don't know much of what you're talking about, or they don't have much of an interest, or they're just confused. They have all these problems. They don't know how to get their business on Instagram. They don't know how to lose 20 pounds that they gain in quarantine because their high school reunion's coming up in a few months or a few years. They have these problems, and then you walk them through some simple solutions and discuss some ways they might get stuck. You share some shortcuts or some long-term strategies. You make the argument for why this frustrated person or business owner needs the service you provide. You make the pain clear. You don't just jump into the solution. You make the pain clear so that way they get that you understand their problem, and maybe even you understand their problem a little bit more than they do, right? So I put some, like I said, I put some slides in here making fun of fiction, and we dove into some things in fiction that maybe a thing or two that maybe you hadn't considered, as far as maybe the extra work that it would have taken you to make a fiction book. So I feel like maybe in some ways I might understand some of your problems a little bit more than you, because we took the timeline even further. Like maybe you've been frustrated for 6 months, and I said, where will you be in 2 years? Where will you be in 6 years? And you have a lot of problems that you keep to yourself, but for these specific things, I think, well, I've seen this before. I've seen people that are worse than you. I might have had this problem worse than you, and we both together understand how important it is, and we understand just how all the stuff that gets in your way. And now that we've identified the boogeyman, the problem, the villain, then we can get to some solutions, and maybe even ponder about that throughout the day today. Don't just jump into solutions. Think about the problem that you're solving, and think about if someone comes across your path, if they want to live longer or fix their constipation, or they want to be happier. Think about the ways that you can understand their pain a little bit more, and talk about the problem more than you already are. That way, when you finally get to the solution, it's some welcome relief. And be entertaining, right? Think about the places that your reader might get bored or drop off, be weird, be attention-getting. It's okay. Your fourth grade English teacher is not docking you points for putting quotes where they don't need to be, or are bolding random words, or putting words in all caps, or highlighting things. In fact, it's more fun, and it's less like work. It's less like school if you can throw in some fun joke or some fun story, or self-deprecate yourself a little bit. And we said that you need to make your cover first and make something that people will want. And I think that the big problem that we're having is getting things done fast, right? Getting things done before we get bored. And for now, I'm saying for your book that we want to walk you through inside our book formula course, don't worry about multiple chapters. For now, make your book just one chapter. It's okay if your book is 10 pages and then you add a table of contents page, you add a dedication page, you maybe add one page that's a list of questions, you add one page that's some kind of a photo or a graphic, and then you bump it up to the minimum number of pages to create a print-on-demand book. That's progress. That's a start. You can always add to it later. For now, make your book just one chapter. So first of all, we're reducing the problem. We're saying instead of writing a 300-page book, write a 10, maybe 15-page book that you can blow it up a little bit to 25 pages. And also keep in mind this, that a lot of the times people think of a page as like a notebook page, right? But your book is not as big as a notebook, right? 8.5 by 11 is a notebook size. Book is 6 inches by 9 inches. And your page has margins. And maybe you add a little bit thicker margins. Maybe you make the text a slightly larger than you normally would. There are so many little things you can do to get yourself up to 25 pages and have a book that for now is just one chapter. And here's what you do is, instead of trying to, like we said, jump into a solution, we go through WWHW, why, what, how to, what if. You start by tackling the why and telling me what problem brought me to you, right? You ask an interesting question. You say, you just start off and say, like, here's the problem, here's where you're stuck, and here's something shocking, here's something to wake you up. Then you get into the concepts or the terms that I need to understand. And let's say that we're talking here about your book on how to rent out a house. And we say, well, the problem is that maybe you have some retirement income that you saved up, and you want to have your money work for you. Well, what do you do? Well, here's some possible ways you can put your money in the bank and earn interest, or the stock market, but this passive income is buying a house and renting it out. That's the problem that brought me to you. But before I tell you how to do all this, let me tell you what you need to know about loans, or about property taxes, or about landlords, or about city permits. Instead of just jumping in, you say, here are a few concepts just to make sure that we're all on the same page. Now, if you just stop there, would that be very helpful if you said, you want to rent out a house and here's some terms, see you later, have fun? Well, no, now you need to give people somewhat of a step-by-step. And this is where you show the process in action and you give steps or examples. And then you wrap up and say, now that I've explained this to you, now here are the possibilities, right? You could rent out one house. You could rent out multiple houses. You could rent out apartment buildings. You can rent them out in this market or that market. You could house hack. You could live in a house and also rent out part of it. And the next step is for you to go to my website, shoot me this email, send me this text message on the phone, add me on social media, join our Facebook group to find out more about this. So that way you're not just leaving them hanging, you're giving them possibilities, you're giving them instructions to take, and you're telling them how they can contact you to get more progress on this. And I know this might be a lot of things to throw at you, but here's the way that I look at it is that, well, if I can get a pen working, let me use the Zoom pen instead. We look at, if we can make it red, I guess make that a red pen. We'll say that half of the coin is this what, right? Half of the coin is when I say here are the pieces, here are the building blocks, here are the principles, but then the other half is the actions to take. And you can't really have one without the other, right? If I just jump in and give you the actions to take, but I'm not telling you what we're doing or what the pieces are, that doesn't make sense. And if I just tell you this terminology, but not actions to take, that's not helpful either. And these are the two pieces of meat in your instructions. And then the end pieces, right? The end caps in the sandwich are the beginning and the end. The why, the question that brought me here, and then the what if, the exclamation point at the end, the thing to do next. And if that helps you get a better handle on that, that's the way that I like to think about it, is that there's here are the tools in the toolbox, here's how to use the tools, and then there's the beginning and the end outside of that. That's the structure that we like to use for one chapter. And this is the ideal structure for any kinds of entertaining and informative communication. And if you watch carefully, then any web page, podcast, quick article, or YouTube video, or our book chapter, or anything, they all follow this structure. What's the problem? What are the concepts? What are the actions? And then what are the next steps afterwards? And you have to have a book, and you should have a book, and it can be easy for you to have a book if you let it. If we can clear all my drawings, okay. It doesn't take a lot of work. It does not take a lot of time, and it does not take a lot of thinking. There are small actions, small decisions, small things to do along the way. And it's mostly a matter of following the steps, because we have you start with a blank mock-up book with just a cover and blank pages inside. And you don't even have to think all that much. You go to bookformula.com. This is the place to get it. And let's say you're already a member of Book Formula. You click on this login button and you jump on in. Do this anywhere from the world, even from your phone. And you can click on this cover and mock-up section. And there's a whole video explaining it. But let's say you say, just show me what to click. we say log into your account. And you know how a few minutes ago I went and updated and added my photo to the cover? We say, here's how you create a design, and here's how you add text, add photos, and we show you how to go through the steps of creating a book, saving it, and then submitting it to the special print-on-demand place that is not Amazon, where you can get a copy of this book sent to you in the mail. And that's the first step for you having a book. And again, we singled out Chuck Cooper in the audience, where I gave a speaking engagement event, blanking on the word. I went and spoke to his people a few months ago for the National Speakers Association, and I handed out to each person a blank book with their name, with their photo, with their title on it. And think about if you did this for your best customers or your best clients, or what if you came up with a book that was about, to go back to the example of getting a local business on Facebook or on Instagram. What if you wrote a quick 10-page, 20-page book about that using that structure we just explained, and you tweaked each cover to have each specific pizza place, hairdresser, Italian restaurant, fast, or maybe not fast food joint, but like mom and pop restaurant in town, accountant, lawyer, and you just put that business's name, and if you had the person's photo, you put it on there. You could customize each book for each person, and you were trying to get their attention, and they flip through and they see that you can help them out and put their business on Instagram, and at the end, it has your contact details. And even if they don't read your book or they don't get to the end, you can follow up with them. And isn't that more than what most people out there are doing as far as getting noticed, getting traffic, getting customers, getting clients? That's more than most people do. And it just takes, as we showed in this instruction, you go and we have arrows saying, click this, click that, drag that, make it in this size, save it in this way, and go to the special website and give them your graphic, and then cool. Now they do whatever magic they do to have a shiny cover, to have all the pages, and you can have blank pages, or you can put in the pages that you want. Don't even have writing on the inside for your first book. This is how you can have a book in 5 minutes. Just have your title, your name, your photo. If you are advanced enough to have a written bio of your own, then you can put that in. If you don't have a bio, in Book Formula, we show you the template for that as well. And what's also important about all this is to have your website, have your contact details inside the book, outside the book. It's basically your business card in disguise, but it's also a prop that you can use for videos, to prop up on your desk for motivation. And even if you only create 5 pages of your book this week, then you can go to the print-on-demand site and re-upload the new edition of your book, and your book just inches along. Your book grows with you, and it literally takes 5 minutes to create this first mock-up of your book, but also anytime you want to add or tweak or pitter-patter around on your book, it's just 5 more minutes of you making it slightly better. And people in the question box are saying, I love the idea of making just one chapter. These books look great. That's a great idea. Well, thank you. And I have been rethinking books lately, especially to create the cover first, not last, because my problem from years ago was I would toil away at a book and I would waste years on it. And I would wonder along the way, like, am I really ever going to finish this? Do people want this? I just kept adding and adding to it. And by the time it got to even naming the book or coming up with a cover, I was dead tired. And forget about even marketing the book. And that just became something that I put a lot of time into every day and hated it and dreaded it every step of the way and put it out there and no one wanted it. As opposed to the new way I do books, which is create the cover first, make it quick, make it short, add to it, promote it all along the way, create the cover first, not last. And that's why we have you make this mock-up book with the blank pages. Recently, the last few years, I've also made it a point to work in quick stories to make it memorable. You know, all those painful memories that seem to come back to you about, high school, or maybe you asked that girl out and she turned you down, or maybe there was that bully, or maybe there was some time when you really dropped the ball on something when you were 16 years old. Put that in your book and tie it into the point that you're trying to make. It'll be funny. It'll be personal. It will be about you. It will be something people can relate to. And it will also hook people better than just info dumping. You can use this to keep people guessing, ask questions as you're telling some story, add surprises. And like I said before, don't be afraid of speaking incorrectly, especially these last couple of years. Maybe I'm just getting old in the years. I'm in my mid-30s. I don't take myself as seriously as I did when I was younger. And I love adding in quotes in random phrases. So like if I stop sharing the screen so you can see, in this book, I said, keep this phrase in mind, call to action. And I will just and then later on, I say your homework assignment or challenge to do it yourself. I don't overuse it, but I will sometimes put a word in quotes as a way of emphasizing it somewhat, or I will put something in all caps. If we can see this, we're excited about back when it was new. Be a little outrageous. No one is grading you about using big words, about using semicolons, about having big chunky paragraphs. Speak incorrectly and make it fun. And sometimes I will use what's called bucket brigade words. I will purposefully begin a sentence or a paragraph with a word like well, and, therefore, because, all the things that fourth grade English teacher put a red mark on and told you to remove. But these are all things to keep people reading and disarm them a little bit. Now, you don't want to have broken grammar or typos on purpose, but maybe be a little more down to earth, be a little more simple, write more like the way you speak instead of trying to be the pompous college professor. Just something to think about, and then you can add to it as you go. Now, the second book we want you to create is a book that I have already written for you, and it's a book of motivational quotes. And inside that book formula members area, we give you this, and we show you to change the title to be whatever it is that you want it to be. We have you add in your name and your website, and then you can put the top of every page have your title, and it's just full of quotes by Benjamin Franklin, Mark Twain. It's a 185 book that I want to give to you for free inside book formula. You put your name on it. You create your own cover. We've talked already about how you can go to this free tool, this free website, put your photo on something, put a title on something, and then now you upload this special Word document to a special place, and then now you have a book that you can hold in your hands, and now it's not just blank pages, now it's full of motivational quotes. So at least it's something. And you've already created 2 books. Now you're running circles around people who are still hemming and hawing about their first book. And you could customize this any way you want. You can add a note-taking area underneath each of these quotes and say, what did you think about this quote? Write a journal to yourself. You could add your own website address, your own phone number, and by now, you're very comfortable clicking just the right buttons, creating books for fun. It's free to make a book. There's the cost of it being printed and shipped, but it's $2 to $4. This book, printed on Amazon, costs $2, I think $2.50, and plus like a little bit for shipping. And then a book like this, which is a print on demand, is $4 to have it printed. And I think, I don't know, maybe like 50 cents, $1 to ship. It's cheap. It doesn't, and you don't have to do any kind of a minimum order. They give you a little bit of a break if you order, 200 copies or 1,000 copies, but you can order literally just 1 copy of your book, and they don't mind. This is print on demand, and you can click around, and you can even just be half serious about it. You can say, all right, well, I know I'll have a book, and I know I'll have a better title than this, but let me for now just put out a book. That way I can hold it in my hands. That way, when the inside of the book is written, isn't that one less step for you? Because instead of having to say, I need to name it, come up with a cover and a title, well, now all that's done. When the inside of the book is done, you just upload that inside part, and then, well, cool, now you are 90% of the way there most of the time. And it gets even better because today we are adding in a day planner template where here's what this one looks like. You customize the title. There's a place for the person who buys your day planner to fill in there, like if this day planner was lost, contact this person. But you can name this planner anything you want. You can put your name, you can put your website, you can change anything you want. This is a 241 page planner, and people just every day of the week, they write down their goals, they look up an affirmation, there's mistakes, there's a quote, there's a tip, and at nighttime, they go back and review their tasks. And this is one of these things where it's so simple that it works. And this is, I mean, I use this planner sometimes, not as often as I should, but that's why the date is not set in stone. It's just day 28, and you write in whatever day 28 happens to be. And then when you're, you type in things like, well, here's 3 ways I can motivate myself today. And these things change every day. This one prompt is, let me write down, where is it? Let me write down 3 things I'm afraid of. And this is your book now. And if you don't like that on, let's see, on day 51, that the prompt for that day is to list 3 things I like about myself, you are free to change it or just put it out as is. And now you can have a day planner as well. So we had a mock-up book, you have a book of motivational quotes, you have a day planner, and all you had to do was click around and create these books. And what if you niche this out? What if you made a day planner for teachers or essential workers or high school students or Boy Scouts, and you put in things that you knew that they would need to know? Maybe you make a day planner for a busy teacher in the summer months getting ready to get class started, and where you got to buy markers and got to buy notebooks for the kids, and you got to, I don't know, decorate the classroom. What if you just niche this out for some specific type of person that you're looking for? What if you made like a COVID-19 survival or reopening guide, and you put it in part of a day planner, or just how to stay sane during quarantine, something like this? I mean, wouldn't even you use this? Couldn't anyone use this? Well, it's possible with print on demand, where they just take a small cut, and you can buy one or a big box for yourself to hand out. Speaking of boxes, think outside the box when it comes to your book. We talked already about create a book with blank pages, a mock-up book. Use our motivational book of quotes. That way you have something that literally anyone can use. You can hand this out to anybody that you know. Use this day planner. Or do like what we showed David did, where he created a book listing his services, but in instructional form. Let's say David could do 5 things for you and your business. He could set up a Facebook page. He can post social content. He could run ads. You just say, your book should have these 5, your business should have these 5 things. Step 1, do this. Step 2, do that. Step 3, do that. At the end of every chapter, he says, I've given you enough where you can go and venture out and do it on your own, or here's a link to schedule a phone call with me, and we can talk about me just making it easy for you, and it's just done, and it's something that you don't have to worry about. We showed how Larry is in our compilation book with multiple authors, where people just send in their chapters, and I'm the printer, and you can do this too. And this is your new skill. You can create a book for a client, turn a podcast into a book, turn anything into a book. And as we wind down, I wanted to make sure I fit this in too, because it's easy to second guess yourself and your book, right? It's easy to say, well, I don't want to be too niche, but I also want to share some good stuff, but I also want to be mass market appeal. And here's the answer, is that there are 5 types of people that will be reading your book. 5 kinds of readers: the ones that are problem unaware, the ones that are problem aware, the ones that are solution aware, the ones that are product aware. And most people only focus on these ones, which is a mistake. And the people that are most aware: problem unaware, problem aware, solution aware, product aware, and most aware. And here's what you need to take away from this, is that the average author cannot easily explain Facebook marketing to an average person. They cannot easily explain the ketogenic diet. Think about the people that you can help that have problems that they themselves are not yet aware of, or are ignoring, or it's not a priority. That's a whole new type of person your book can tap into, and you can consider this person and have some of your book be about the complete layperson, and then walk them up to problem aware. Now they know that diabetes could be a problem. Now they know that their anger might get the best of them. Now they know that they're not saving enough for retirement. Now this is your chance to validate their pain. Don't be the clueless husband. You know about the clueless husband, right? The person that where the wife is crying and he says, oh, let me fix it. You can do this and this. And the wife says, no, I'm just upset. I'm just crying. I just want you to understand what I'm going through. And then maybe later we can talk about solutions. But for now, let's just be upset with, just be sad with me. Don't be the clueless husband jumping in with unwelcome advice just yet. Empathize, sympathize with them, validate their pain, understand their problem with them. And then maybe you've earned the right to explore some perfectly valid but inferior and flawed alternatives. Things they've tried already, things they haven't considered, outdated concepts. So that way you can get to where you are selling yourself specifically. And now you've walked yourself up. Now you've earned the right. Now you've played with it. Now you've added some stories and added some hiccups and just got them caught up and said, maybe your problem this whole time was that you've been charging ahead. Maybe you haven't been taking your time and understanding the problem and seeing where you're at and seeing where you've maybe had issues before with publishing your book or renting a house or losing weight or whatever it is. And now that you've built the foundation, now you've earned the right to say, here's some answers or here's how to hire me. And then another mistake people make is they focus on the people that are already their customers, right? And like even in the question box, there's a handful of people who are leaving all the questions, right? A lot of people are just lurkers, bystanders, that's okay. But there's that top percentage of your best customers. And these are the people that you should put in your book, right? These are the people where you should, there's a fun story about you and one of your customers, put it in your book because this person is already one of your top fans and you're not trying to sell them on buying from you. You're trying to sell them on being one of your multipliers, right? One of the people that tells other people about you. And if you think about just these 5 different kinds of people and making sure everyone's included, that has helped me so much on not second guessing myself and being mass market when I need to be, and on being more niche specific when I also need to be. And we've been talking today about your book structure. Let me jump to us talking about your book structure. Don't put everything you know into a book. I had a realtor on my podcast once, and he literally had a book called 7 Steps to Buying a Home. And he had another book called 7 Steps to Selling a Home. So it can be that simple if you let it. It can be that simple if you follow a structure. We said why, what, how to, what if. You answer those questions. You answer why would I buy a house and rent it out? What would I do to buy a house or rent it? Or how about what would I do to just buy the house? Don't even think of renting it out. Buying a house, what do we need to know? Well, why do I buy instead of doing something else? What are the terms I need to know about like a loan or a mortgage, or should I get one? How do I do it? What are the steps? Now that I've bought the house, what's the next step? Maybe the next step is fixing it up, and that's the next chapter. And the chapter after that is then renting it out. The first edition of your book should just be where you pick out, there's all the chapters you could write in your book, right? You could write about buying the house, fixing it up, renting out the house, but you don't have time to write all that. So what if you said, I'll just write the chapter on how to rent it out, and we'll do a quick blurb about how to buy it in the first place and how to fix it up. But the most interesting thing to me is renting it out, and then knowing that we'll fill in the other chapters later. But for now, just that chapter on its own can and should stand out. And we said that your master plan is to create your mock-up book, add just 1 chapter, create a website and market it, add to it more, refine and edit, sell lots of copies, and use this as the funnel, the entry point for your business. You get noticed, people know that you know what you're talking about, they can buy your services, they can buy your products, but don't publish your book on Amazon at first. Our way is faster, more exciting, you can inch along. Publishing a paperback is free. It's $2 to $4. It only has to be 25 pages, including you make an about the author page, you make a table of contents page. Your future customers, the ones looking for you right now, they want short books. Have you ever heard that saying that in your lifetime, you walk past 36 murderers? That's a fun fact, right? That throughout your lifetime, there are 36 people that did not kill you. That's a fun fact because 36 people did not kill you. But the opposite is true too. Think about how many people could have come across your path, but they did not because you did not have a book to put in front of them. And I spoke to one of our customers recently who made a weight loss book, and she had the most fun making the cover first, having 25 blank pages, and then every day saying, today I'll fill in page 7. Today I'll fill in the last page. And then that idea led to this concept of the book formula. I presented to a room of busy doctors, and they were stressed out about this concept of their ideal customer. And I said, instead of conjuring up a new ideal customer, look at the customers, the patients you have, and then market to those and just get more of those instead of kind of coming up with something new. So many times you're going to be helping someone, talking with someone, listening to someone, and their problem will give you the idea for your book. And have you noticed that many times here, they're kind of in story form. They're in terms of a real person has a real problem and you have a real solution. And now the problem, the solution, the story, the conflict, the villain, the aha, the humor, the next steps, they're all built in because you're not making something up out of thin air. You're helping real people. You're helping people who need your help. They need your help with your book. And your book is the way that you can get their attention and get them on your list and get them buying from you and get them on your funnel. Now, when I was going through my dad's things over a decade ago, I found receipts, tax returns, things like that. And I would have killed to just find one scrap of paper that had some of his ideas or thoughts written down. And think about how people will think of you when you die, when you pass on. They will wish that you'd put something down and that you put it in even short book form, because you put it on Amazon and you're dead, you're long and gone. People can still buy that book on Amazon. Your final thoughts, your ideas don't die with you. Recently, my mother sent this journal of her dad. He lived until age 95. He died about 8 years ago. He worked for NASA and he did all these cool things in his life. And my mom sent me some of his journal pages, but I could not read a single word because it was written in cursive, right? That's the secret language that us millennials cannot decipher. And what if you have things like this that you've written down in cursive, or you could write, put it into a quick book, pass along the wisdom that you think future generations need to know from you, and it will sell forever, decades after your death, because you put it in some of this print on demand. Now, what about what you want to write down in whatever form, right? Some people said, I really want fiction. You have business advice, you have personal life advice. There's always some other day, right? Life always gets in the way. I mean, today was the tomorrow you were worried about yesterday. There's always something else that's taking up your time. I'll get to it later. Well, eventually, there will not be time later to make the book that either talks about you or promotes your business or talks about you to family members. I mean, what if you made a compilation book and every member of the family submitted a chapter and everyone had a copy of it on their bookshelf and they could order copies whenever they want? Think outside the box as far as what you and your book can and should do. And these days, people are worried about their mental health, right? Because maybe they're spending a lot of time indoors by themselves, stressed about the uncertain future. But it's important in your mental health that you have something to look forward to and that you're not just going through the motions, making it through another day. Have something to look forward to, and your upcoming completed, finished, launched book could be that thing that you look forward to. What you look forward to could be your book, the book that sells you. But it won't happen magically, right? You can depend on yourself, and that's about it many times. But the master plan is you create your mock-up book, you add just one chapter, you begin selling, you begin marketing it, You add a few more pages and chapters. You edit it as you go. You sell lots of copies consistently. Don't do this, blow $200,000 to get #1 on Amazon, and then you have a garage full of books. Sell copies of your book consistently every month so that new people always know about you, and use this as the funnel for your business. Add your contact information. Say, if you liked what you read in this book, if you liked this specific page or chapter and you want to talk about this, here's this link to go. Here, check out my podcast, things like that. But there are so many nooks and crannies, so many things to figure out and forget, and you're not sure about the next step to take. Book Formula is the next step to take. This is our course where you go from idea to published author in just a few clicks. And inside the Book Formula course that you're about to join in the next few minutes, you'll discover, first of all, how to create that cover, how to create that mock-up, how to have that book with the blank pages, how to outline the insides of your book. And we actually have you do this in a fun way. We have you click a button, and what it creates for you is a website that promotes people on your book. And instead of saying, oh, go to Amazon and search for this title, you say, go to www.book.com, go to nancyhallbook.com, go to dalemaxwellbook.com. And what's also a secret that I'll just give it to you right now. Everyone's always stressed out about not being able to register the .com address for their website, right? Oh, I have this really good idea for a book, but the .com's taken with something else. You know what's not taken is the name of your book and then the word book.com. So let's say you had a book called Real Estate Secrets, and let's say realestatesecrets.com is taken. You know what's probably not taken? realestatesecretsbook.com. And now, when all these other frustrated authors say, go to Amazon, search this, you say, no, realestatesecretsbook.com. And then it takes people to this website where it sells people on your book. There's a button to get it on Amazon. There's a way for people to flip through the first few chapters of your book. This is a special thing Amazon gives you, this thing that you can drop into your website. There's your bio, there's a contact form. We give you this website template that you can set up anywhere. We show you how to use this tool called Google Slides, which is basically PowerPoint. Everyone knows PowerPoint, right? Well, Google Slides has a free version that you can create slides on your phone. You can present a slideshow like we're looking at right here, but you can do it on your browser. And you basically present the content of your book just in a 20-minute keynote speech. And then that becomes the basis for your book. We show you how to record your book, edit it, publicize it, publish it, monetize it, how to get traffic. We show you then how to take your show on the road and promote your book on other people's podcasts. We show you how to get this audiobook published on Audible, right? In audiobook form, where you get $14.95 per sale of your book, where if you send someone to your audiobook and someone gets a trial of Audible, a free membership in Audible, Amazon will give you $50 as a reward. So Amazon and Jeff Bezos have all kinds of fun ways to reward you for your book. We show you how to make a compilation book. We give you that website template, and I will even interview you on my podcast about your book. And this is all inside Book Formula. Go ahead, do it right now. Go to bookformula.com. We'll go and we'll put this, if you can find the question and answer area, we'll say bookformula.com. And in the chat area, we will say bookformula.com. We've talked about all kinds of crazy things when it comes to you and your book, but the next step is to do the right thing and go to bookformula.com, bookformula.com, where we discuss what we discussed already. We talk about making your cover, making the mock-up, making it easy, WWHW, 5 levels of awareness. And once you join, you log in, and everything is broken down for you in each of these modules. You go to the first module. There is a video training here. We have an assignment for you here. We have checklists on how to come up with the idea, how to create the cover, how to create the mock-up, how to register your whatever the name of your book is, book.com address, how to point it to a website. And this is something where you can go at your own pace, get it all done in a couple of days, or if you're pressed for time, just put 10 minutes a week into it and go through it at your own pace. This is something that you can choose to do personally. This is something where if you have an employee, if you outsource things, then you buy this and you have your outsourced employee go through this and have them make your mock-up book and send it to you. Have them make your motivational book. Have them make your day planner and have them work with you to create your full book that you get done, that you have fun doing, that is a thing that moves you and your business along. The place to go right now to continue on your journey of this book that you always wanted to have, but this and that thing in life got in the way. Now it's easy. Now there's a system. Now we help you along and move you along inside of bookformula.com. We will see you on the inside in the members area of bookformula.com. And best of luck to you. And I am looking forward to interviewing you on my podcast about your book.